A large and strong anticyclone is currently developing over the Atlantic Ocean, bringing another period of drier conditions over Ireland and the United Kingdom starting this week, while much of mainland Europe still has to deal with widespread thunderstorms and heavy rainfall due to a pair of storm systems. All of this will lead up to something very interesting and potentially unexpected in early June, so make sure you stick around for all of the latest information in this forecast. In this edition of Photo of the Day, we have a picture sent in from northern Germany, taken on May 26, 2024. What you're seeing here just above the buildings is an anvil cloud associated with a nearby thunderstorm. This occurs when the updraft in a thunderstorm reaches the stratosphere and therefore can't continue growing upward. For anyone who would like to submit a picture to be featured on the next Photo of the Day, the best options at this time once again would be Discord or Instagram, so don't forget to check out the links in the description. Now, to commence this weather report, let's start off with the good news, which is improving conditions over Ireland and the UK. Widespread cloud cover and rain showers should persist today, especially further towards the east, as the low pressure over the North Sea continues having an influence over the region. By this weekend, high pressure will make noticeable advancements into the area, which is why we see the coverage and intensity of precipitation decrease. If you were hoping for some drier weather over mainland Europe, especially around Germany and areas to the south and east, then unfortunately it looks like we're going to have to wait for a little bit longer. As you can see, the pattern looks very chaotic across much of Europe, not only for the last couple days of May, but also into the first few days of June. If you watched my last video, you'll probably recall that series of anticyclones I talked about over the Nordic countries into western Russia. Throughout the past week, we've seen lower pressure slowly replace the high pressure area over the Nordic countries, which has allowed for a northward expansion in the thunderstorm threat. This trend has carried on into Russia, with the anticyclone previously located over western portions of the country now being replaced with low pressure, which explains why we're seeing the risk of widespread thunderstorms and maybe even severe weather encroach further east. If you look at the top of the screen, you can see how we're now a few days into June, which is right before something interesting happens. I'm sure you're curious to know what I mean, but I don't want to get too far into the future without talking about what's going on right now, so let's take a look at that first. Short-range model guidance is in agreement that the system over the North Sea will continue providing daily risks of storms and downpours across Central Europe, much like we've seen for a while now. On Friday into Saturday, you'll notice a new area of low pressure developing on the southern end of this activity, somewhere around northern Italy. As that moves north and east, a large precipitation shield will develop and pivot backward over western Czechia down into Bavaria and other portions of Germany, lasting for 2 to 3 days. The German Weather Service has already taken note of this and placed orange rainfall alerts across the more southern and eastern portions of the country, including areas such as Munich and Dresden. The time frame to watch closely is between Friday, May 31st through Sunday, June 2nd. The 5-day precipitation accumulation map really shows why this could be a significant risk. The yellow shade, which extends from areas just south of Berlin to Switzerland, Austria, and Italy, could see over 50 millimeters of precipitation, with 80 millimeters or more possible where you see orange. The deeper orange shades and the red is where well over 100 millimeters of rain is possible, and that's generally the areas where the flood threat may be highest. With this information in mind, anyone in the affected area should closely monitor the latest updates from reliable sources like the Weather Service and prepare for the possibility of dangerous flooding. For today, Thursday, May 30th, the severe weather threat is well underway, as you can see on the satellite imagery. The flood threat is going to be focused from southern Norway to northern Italy, as well as some isolated locations in southeast Europe. My severe weather outlook for tomorrow, May 31st, is chaotic to say the least. Many areas will be at risk for strong to severe storms, with the greatest likelihood of storms reaching severe criteria where you see orange. I even added a somewhat rare level 3 risk over Georgia and portions of surrounding countries, since conditions will be very favorable for severe weather, including the possibility of very large hail. This will also be the first day of a potentially dangerous flash flood threat in southern Germany, so that's why you see those darker green shades focused over that region. Portions of Austria, Switzerland, Slovenia, and Croatia are also included, so don't let your guard down if you live in those places as well. To start off the weekend and also the month of June, widespread thunderstorms and torrential rainfall is expected from northern Africa all the way to Russia, with any of those areas in bright pink, white, or yellow representing high CAPE values, also known as available thunderstorm fuel. The greatest flood risk will be focused along the German and Czech border at this point, with a smaller risk extending into Poland. On Sunday, I think we're going to see a slight trend towards the east, especially regarding the severe weather potential, with this weather model suggesting high Cape values from Bulgaria and Greece into Russia. Heaviest rainfall should occur from France to the Baltic countries. And lastly, for Monday, June 3rd, the severe weather ingredients are going to become less robust and widespread further north, with the Balkans most likely being the focal point of activity. You might also be wondering why the severe threat seemingly dropped off across parts of northern Europe, which makes a perfect segue back into the weather tracker map. I'm going to circle the areas of interest, and this is valid for June 4th, by the way. You can see how we have a weak cutoff low located right over the Azores Islands to the south of the large high pressure area, and a big storm system to the north and west of Scandinavia. We're going to start by focusing on the system in the Norwegian Sea, and I'll explain why. On its own, it's a pretty average storm system, but what happens next is rather interesting. Instead of continuing on its northeastward trajectory, it develops into a large system, impacting nearby portions of Iceland, the British Isles, and Scandinavia with cooler air and rainfall, even snow in the higher elevations. There are still some questions that arise, such as how cold or how far the cold air mass will get, so we're just going to have to wait for some more refined information. At the very least, I do expect a period of colder than average temperatures mainly over Scandinavia, and perhaps reaching some areas a little further towards the south. For the rest of Europe, above normal temperatures should continue, especially over southeastern areas and parts of the Middle East. I also wanted to mention a cutoff low that's right around the Azores Islands for a few reasons. One, it's actually already there as of May 30th, and what you're seeing on your screen now is where the cutoff low will be located days later. This means that the cutoff low will stick around for at least another 6 to 8 days, which of course will lead to some heavy totals in parts of the Azores Islands, as you can see on this precipitation forecast. When this system is finally able to dislodge itself from its current location, it might eventually find its way over to the Iberian Peninsula by next week. This could bring the first widespread substantial rainfall event to portions of Portugal and Spain in quite some time, so I've added a green shade to indicate the chance of above average rainfall in the June 6th through the 13th timeframe. There's also some green over Norway, Sweden, and Finland due to that large storm on its way, and then other than that, drier than average conditions are becoming possible, including some of the areas that were impacted by rounds of heavy rain and storms throughout May. These are certainly going to be some very interesting changes to watch as we enter the new month, so I encourage you to stay tuned to this channel for the latest updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.